Hello, and welcome to the second podcast for OGC onlinegaming.community. And today I have with me my regular buddy, Mr. Matt Tifferidge.
Hello, hello.
And a returner to the community, Mr. Ethan Drury.
Yo.
So, how are we both today, gentlemen?
Yeah, can't complain. I've literally just walked through the door, but I'm ready for this podcast, even though I forgot about it.
That's what we like to hear. We're prioritising it. Eve, are you alright?
Yeah, I'm not bad. Not bad at all.
Excellent. So, the seasons are up and running. Last time we were here, we were talking about the site and the community in general. Now we're going to home in on the leagues, especially PES and FIFA, which have both started. So let's get some prediction in. That's why we're in. That's why we're here today. So, obviously, with there is a team draw to find out who you play with. PES will do first, as it's in front of me. Nice and convenient. So, yeah, you get given a team originally. You get one chance and one chance only to swap it if you'd like to do that. People have done that. Matt, as you are in the PES League, maybe you want to talk us through some of the choices or maybe what teams we can be in the first place?
Okay, so unlike FIFA, there's no star ratings in PES. It just gives an overall number out of 100 for each team. So we took all the teams that were 80 or below, which is roughly equates to 4-star on FIFA, and took the top teams, drew them out, and then you can swap to any lower rated team, although only 2 people have swapped this season, which I think is a record low. But
yeah,
we'll see if that works out for them.
Certainly not a regular thing. That most people tend to panic and get rid of whoever they get given, unless they get some sort of sweaty team. They got the luck of the draw. But
I think the teams might be more balanced in PES. I'm not sure team choice is as important as FIFA.
That's something that will definitely be found out as the season goes on. You are one of the guys that have stuck with your team, Matt. You happy with you've got Tottenham? You happy?
I am happy. As I was saying to you before we went on air, the big thing on PES is form. Players get form each week, which makes quite a big difference. It's about 6% of their attributes if they're in top form. So having Spurs being second in the Premier League, they should be in good form most weeks. I'm hoping so anyway. Don't know, I'm quite pleased with the draw.
It's quite a considerable amount, that 5 or 6%.
It is.
Like, that could make a massive, massive difference. But there you go. So we've got some quite strong teams, like you say, if you consider form. We've got, obviously, Leicester in there. You've got Tottenham, like you said, Wolfsburg, who I've only just been informed have got a great win over Real Madrid in the week in the Champions League. Completely unaware of it. Sevilla, obviously, they've won, is it back-to-back Europa Leagues or back-to-back Europa Leagues?
They win all the Europa Leagues.
They win all the Europa Leagues.
And they won the last game in the Europa.
Yeah, they're still in it.
They'll win it again. It'll be back-to-back. Yeah. Not back to black, that's Amy Whitehouse. God rest her soul. So West Ham obviously doing well as well. Southampton in there. The 2 people have changed. You've got Alan has changed Fiorentina for Leicester. Arguably fair enough for the form. Obviously Leicester look like they're going to win the league. And DA has swapped Newcastle for Monaco. His reasoning behind it, I don't think anyone can disagree with, to be honest. If you want to have a look at it, it's there in the forums. Probably won't say that in here, just in case there's any children listening. But I'll blank out. Blank you, Mike Ashley, you fat blank. So there you go. I would suggest go reading it for yourself. But in terms of who's got what, who do we think is probably someone to watch out for? Eve, I'll start with you. Obviously, PES is a completely different ball game from, well, it's not a different ball game, it's still football, but from FIFA, it's a different game. So people who are strong on FIFA might not necessarily be strong on PES. But who would you expect to be up there with who they've got?
I completely agree. I think for me personally, obviously it's just my opinion, PES is much more about let's see who can score the most goals. I personally can't defend at all on PES. So I think the likes, I'd normally go for like DT. He's got a massive pedigree on FIFA. You know I always back him to win. And Sevilla's definitely not a bad team. However, this is for me a mixed basket. I don't know how 5 or 6 of these people play particularly. There's like Matt's got the ability to mix it up. Tottenham are a superb squad. So really, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to stick with the old pedigree, I guess. So I'd be like maybe a DT. But I'm not sure really what like the likes of Sharky bring to the table, or Scott Shepp. I think he's reasonably good, but Sevilla are definitely a good team. If I had to pick a team out of them, I'd be like Tottenham or Sevilla. So I'd probably go with one of those 2.
What about you, Matt? Do you fancy your own chances, or do you think someone else is going to be a favourite for the title?
It's hard to say because I mean I've only ever played of the people in the league, I've only played Flux, and that was only one game, and he did beat me. But that was a my club game, and he has Ronaldo, Neymar, and all sorts of stupid players. So hard to judge, really. He's probably played the most PES, I would guess, out of all of us. Although I think Sharky's played a lot as well. So maybe they've got a head start.
I think Sharky, a Fleck Club, that's Bilbao, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sharky with Bilbao, I think Matt obviously Tottenham. You've got Pedigree on the site. DT with Sevilla as mentioned. Tam Hibbs, I'm not sure what he's like on PES, but I personally think Wolfsburg are probably the strongest squad out of those, especially in attacking wise. If you're right, Ethan, in saying that it's a goal fest, which from my own personal experience of PES, I think there are a lot more goals and a lot more opportunities to score than there are on FIFA. I think they could be a dark horse for the competition as well. Certainly going to be interesting. Only 9 teams playing once or twice.
Twice.
Yeah, so it could be a case of if someone maybe who's not got the experience of maybe being in with the top of the winning competitions and they've been in that position before, when the second set of fixtures come around, it might be a little bit nervy bum time. People who have not necessarily been up there with FIFA before, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it. Obviously, let us know what you guys think is going to happen. If you've got to pick a winner, start of the season, Matt, who are you going for?
I am going to go for Flux.
With West Ham, okay. And Ethan?
I already know I'm going to get shit for this. DT.
I'm going to go with Sharky with Bilbao. I think he could be a little bit of a surprise. Although it must be said, there has been a one single game so far played. Crossi, not always associated with being one of the better players quality-wise on the side. He's got Lazio, came up against a returning hero, DA or John, who was playing as Monaco, and it looked, from the highlights, like a little bit of a whitewash. John running away, 3-0 champions. The match report in that, by the way, fantastic. Like, I know it's his site, I know, he wants to make pride with what he's done, but really, like, if you're going to be, you should be doing match reports, but go check his out and see the template, the thing you should be going up against, because honestly, it's very, very good quality. Crossi, do we think he's in for a hard season?
I think he's going to struggle at the start because he's only been playing the game a matter of a few weeks, and I know he doesn't like it much. I'm not sure why he signed up, but no, I think he likes the game and the way the football's played, but he has a real problem with goalkeepers, which I think is a valid point. They're pretty bad on PES, which is why, as you said, there are a lot of goals compared to FIFA.
I suppose you can look at it one or two ways of for Crossi. I think you've either got the he's playing in both the FIFA and the PES leagues that should be mentioned. So either he's contributing to the site, being a good team member, and everyone should look up to him for that. Obviously, head of the pro clubs as well, or he's just a massive sadist.
Likes to get beat.
Yeah, how you 50 Shades of Cross. Depends how you want to look at it. 50 Shades of Steve. But there we go. There's before we move on to FIFA, we're just again before we came on air, we were talking about cups. Probably going to be a cup somewhere fitting in for PES.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do a proper sort of full-on cup like we do with FIFA, because we've only got 9 players, which is not only a horrible number. It's not 8, it's 9. But it's only going to be 3 games to win it. So we might do a fun cup, maybe a My Club Cup or something. Something a bit different.
That sounds good. So yeah, that's the PES. Keep an eye on that. Obviously, we'll give you updates as the season goes on in podcast after this. Moving on to FIFA. Well, while we're on the subject of cup, then FIFA's more likely to be the more traditional sort of League Cup knockout sort of competition.
I would have thought so.
Okay, and the draw for that is probably likely to be in the next week or so. That'll be Michael's jurisdiction, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought he'd want to get that started pretty soon.
Okay, cool. So getting into the league, obviously it's a bigger league. We've got, is it 14 members? Yes it is. Now, me and Ethan are both participating in this one. Matt, you're not. Does it feel strange not playing in FIFA?
No, I think I've had enough of 1v1 FIFA. It's quite nice to be out on the touchline watching.
Fair enough. It does sound like something I want to get into, to be honest, because I'm just about having enough of it at the moment. We'll get there in a moment. But before we talk about what's happened so far and who's doing what, again, we'll talk about the team swaps. And like you said, there are a lot more swaps on here. We've got, that is, quick maps, 7 of the 14, so 50% of the teams have changed. Anyone in there, Ethan, that particularly looks out as being a good swap, or do you think anyone's been a fool for swapping their original team?
I honestly don't know much about the original teams in this. I do know that I've played Tuesday with Gwingump, and they've got some good players, as I mentioned to you before, and as I'm sure we'll talk about in our game, one of his players, Briand, who Tuesday actually said hadn't been great for him before, got a brace against me. Burnley for TJ is definitely a good swap. He's got a history with them. He knows their players. And you know, if you're looking at, I don't think they do championship form, but they are top of it. So they've obviously got a good team. And I don't know for many other people's teams. Bournemouth are definitely a fast team. You've played them, I believe, and they're a very, very good team. And finally, my team has a big pedigree of pace in it and massive defenders. So I chose my team because they are far better than the team I had before. So I think Bruges, Guingamp, Burnley, and Bournemouth are the four that I see is really good. But I don't know much about Baza Wybar or Moscow.
Yeah, that's Bruges is the team that Ethan is playing as. Matt, what about you when you look at that team list? Anyone stand out for you for the right or wrong reason?
I think Bournemouth's definitely the best swap. They must have at least 3, maybe 4 players of 90 pace going forward. And as we know, FIFA's only about pace. There are no other attributes.
It's a fair comment. I mean, when I look at who's done what, I think Sheppy, you might know something about Spartak Moscow, but from memory, I've always known that Olympiacos are quite a strong team on FIFA, so I'll be interested to see if he ends up having made the right decision over a whole season. You both said it about Bournemouth. I've played against them already. You're right, there's Josh King, there's Callum Wilson, there's Max Gradle, there's Rudy Stead, Ranty. There is so much pace in that team. And then you've got the quality of sort of Matt Ritchie, you've got Charlie Daniels bombing down the wing, Harry Arter. Yeah, not a nice team to come up against, I'll tell you that. Burnley, you're right, TJ, he's obviously got experience with them. Perhaps nostalgia, it doesn't always work. We've seen with people before. Myself, I've got personal experience of doing that with Leon. And on the subject of Leon, nice little segue, as you just mentioned about Guingamp and Jimmy Briand, it was FIFA 14, so it was a while ago now, but Briand was their up-and-coming sort of left winger. I actually used to play him ahead of Lacazette. That was before Lacazette got into the team and really started playing. I actually found him to be a better FIFA player than Lacazette, despite Lacazette having more pace. But there you are. I think the best team out of all of them is Hull. With Crossy, I do think that Hull are probably stronger than Bournemouth because they've got height, they've got strength, their defence is fantastic, they've got an international goalkeeper, and they've still got strike force. They've got Abel Hernandez and, remind me, who else have they got up front? I can't remember.
No, I don't know.
They've got a good strike force. Crystal Palace perhaps being a good shout as well with Tam Hibbs. Taking into consideration, obviously, the team alongside the player as well, because some people will never ever have a chance of winning. Both keep your mouth shut. Do not nominate me. Matt, who do you think will be looking up towards the top of the table to get their hands on the illustrious inaugural first FIFA trophy on OGC?
I think it's going to be between Natboy, TJ, and Finn88.
So that's Natboy playing as Bournemouth, TJ playing as Burnley, both aforementioned, and Finn88 is playing as Atalanta, the Italian outfit. Finn hasn't been mentioned yet. Is that because of his pedigree you're going for that? Do you think Atalanta have got anyone special?
No, that's just going on history, really. He's always in the top half, and I think, looking at it, I think there are less real top players than there have been previously. I think this is the time, or his best chance, to really break into the top one or two.
Because you've up and left to PES doesn't mean you need to belittle the rest of us.
Well, there's no DT either.
Whatever. Maybe a little bit more respect from Ethan.
Doubtful.
No.
I think I must agree with Matt. I think if you'd been around on the previous site, you would know that TJ is always in with a chance of winning, no matter what team he has. Finn88 is a very, very good player, always does well in the cups, and comes there or thereabouts in the league, perhaps only let down by the fact that he comes on to play rather than a lot of us who sit on, all the time. So he's definitely in with a shoe in. And Natboy with Bournemouth as well. I don't know much about Natboy's playing style, but you said he was very good. And with a team like Bournemouth, there's always a chance of coming out with something. And yeah, I would honestly say those are the top three. There's probably a few dark horses in there, and some teams that we don't know much about that could quite honestly give people a run for their money. But yeah, I think they have to be top three.
I think looking, especially what you guys have said as well, I think obviously the people with pedigree, you got TJ, you got Finn, are going to do well. I think Fran hasn't been mentioned yet. Now, supposedly he didn't know anything about the team draw. He's got Newell's old boys from South America. I think they're Argentinian, perhaps. They're South America, certainly. He's obviously he's a good FIFA player. Likes to throw his toys at the pram if it doesn't particularly go well, but he'll be up and about there. Nat Boy, that strike force can be anyone on that day. I think a couple of mentions. Formerly known as I Am Phil, who is now just Phil, despite having the same PSN name. Come up against him numerous times. Tend to be in Division 2 with him. I've played him so many times throughout the years. Very, very good attacking player. No one really ever mentions him for that. Brilliant attacking player. Scores goals for fun, but isn't great at keeping them out of his own net. You've got Flux, who's got Basel. I think they're a very good team, but Flux, can he keep the dishes split? For fucking hell. Right. Can Flux... my degree obviously hasn't worked well, has it? Jesus. Right. I can't be asked to cut that out. Can he do PES and FIFA alongside each other? Is it possible? Is it possible for me to get the end of the sentence without having a stroke right now? I think... Yeah, that's going to be difficult. I played Ethan with Club Brugge. I think you'll be there or thereabouts. Choosy, by all accounts, did quite well. Guingamp. Nice, it's really frustrating. I've found a team that I quite like. I'm really deflated at the moment, but I think it's because I came up against Bournemouth in my opening game. I think having played one of the favourites early doors, it's never really going to end well, but hopefully a couple of results and I might be able to get back on track, but there you are. So, yeah, that's that. We've got some competition underway so far. Like Ethan aforementioned, he had a 2-2 draw against Choosy. Do you want to talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, basically, I know we mentioned the pace of Bournemouth, but my real bonus with my team is I play a 4-3-3, and my three strikers have 91 or above pace. So I was planning on absolutely sweating the pace against Choosy, but my midfielders they're actually quite technically gifted, but they were just not making passes. So at the start of the game, Choosy went 2-0 up, and deservedly. Briand, as I mentioned previously, got both goals, and they were well taken goals. The first I was a bit disappointed with my keeper, probably could have done better, but he got in the position, he scored. Just before half time, it came back 2-1. My striker, he's got 91 sprint speed and 80 finishing, and he whipped one into the post and in from the edge of the box when he broke through. And then in the second half, I think Choosy was... I wouldn't say bottled it, but I think he wanted to hold on to the lead. He was a lot more shy. He put in his own report he was more shy second half, and I think that let me just come back into it. But the goal in the end, I crossed it in from the wing, and the ball basically stopped on the goal line where my striker just headed it in, and the keeper just sat there. And Choosy mentioned that he was having a cup of tea or something on the line because he didn't even move. So I imagine he was quite annoyed about that. But no, Choosy was very, very good. Actually, much better than since the last time I played him previously on the other site. So I think he's going to do quite well this season. And yeah, I had a good game, really good first game. Glad to be back.
Nice. Yeah, I played Natboy. I lost 4-2. He's playing as Bournemouth. To be completely truthful, I don't think I really got out of the blocks. He scored. I had good pressure in the opening sort of 5 minutes, but he scored early against me, and to be honest, it was difficult to get back from there. Like I said, he's strike force and not forgiving. They really are a pain to come up against, but can't really be too disappointed. To be completely fair to him, he played very, very well. It wasn't just that he lumped into the strikers, he played brilliantly from back to front, so fair play to him. Obviously got pedigree on the site as well. We said previously before we started recording, he's won a League Cup before. He has got pedigree on the site, perhaps somewhat overlooked, not normally mentioned about being up there with the guys, but he's certainly got a team if that are capable of success. In the only other game so far in the FIFA league, TJ with Burnley beat Just Phil. I spoke about Phil obviously being good attacking. It was a 3-1 win for TJ, but coming up against Burnley, coming up against TJ, perhaps similar situation that I found myself in. It was always going to be a difficult game to try and get something first game of the season, especially first game on OGC as well. A little bit of pressure perhaps added to that as well. You'd expect the guys that have been there, done that before, guys that have both won cups so far, to be leading the league. So Natboy finds himself top at the moment, ahead of TJ. Choosy and Ethan find themselves in third and fourth after them draws. Then a whole host of players who haven't played, and then me and Phil, bottom two. we both started with a 2-goal deficit. So that is that as far as the predictions are concerned for the leagues. A couple of changes that happened on the site, or a couple of things to talk about. First of all, Matt, in regards to the match reports, there's been a slight tweak, I understand.
Yeah, only a minor one. In the original guide, I'd put a little bit about embedding your YouTube videos into the reports, and I think I wrongly put that you could just paste the URL of the video. Turns out you can't. So I've just updated it, just explaining how you can get them to show. Basically, you just have to use the embed code. There's a little share button underneath your video, and just paste that in instead.
Okay, nice and simple. So, yeah, obviously, if you get confused or if you're stuck, there's a submission guide that's on the homepage. If not, hit Matt up or ask anyone, and I'm sure they'll point you in the right direction. It's not too difficult. It should be easy enough to do. The other thing I want to discuss that I made a note of is the VBookie. Obviously, was present on our previous older mother site, IFL. It's a betting system in which you don't actually have to part with your cash. It's just virtual cash. VBookie. Hey. Are there any discussions about that coming back? Is that a feature we might be able to see in future? Where do we kind of stand, Matt?
There are plans. There's already a module installed for gambling and for virtual cash, but it's just in default setting at the moment. It needs configuring and setting up, but I think that's something DA's got on his to-do list. So hopefully soon you'll be able to bet on anything. Our leagues, the cups, community nights, even real events.
When Dazza will get his first win.
Yeah.
I believe that's a market that I believe there's a market that has actually been explored before. You bastards. So that's something to look forward to. Certainly should be up before the start of the second season, but hopefully we'll see that come up soon. Maybe perhaps with the cup draws, if we don't get too far ahead with that might be a good idea to do that for the first market. Obviously, if DA has time, I'm not trying to push him because he's got far too much of these players as it is already, and we appreciate everything he's done for the site. So, going away from the competition on the site, but sticking with the site, the first thing I want to talk about, we've got pro clubs. Obviously, you mentioned that before, Matthew. Sorry, Matt. I don't know why I'm calling you Matthew.
I'm a mum.
Matthew. I don't know why your mum would talk like that. Do you know what? I've been up. I worked the night shift last night, the morning shift this morning. I've been drinking. I'm sleep deprived. I do apologise if I'm a little bit off my usual self today. So, pro clubs, we're getting competitive again. We're looking to play on another site. You'll have far more information on that than I will, Matt. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, we've been playing on the FCC Pro Clubs League, which finished a few weeks ago. We actually came top of the league, which was nice, but then they have a very strange system where even if you win the league, you still have to then play a playoff against the teams below you to win the championship. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me.
It's like the rugby union league, isn't it?
Kinda, but so yeah, basically.
So fucking stupid, basically, yeah.
In classic OGC fashion, we won the league and then lost the playoff final. But we're signed up again. I think Crossy is in the process of signing us up again for next season. Anyone who's in the league can sign up and play, although obviously there are only 11 spots and we do have probably about 13 or 14 players. So if you want to get in, it might be handy to show up for fun games and practice games. Strut your stuff.
Lovely. So there's a start date on there of Monday the 18th of April. I hope to have this up. It'll be a week away, it'll either be like 7 or 8 days away, so mark your calendar, get on the forum, sign up for it, and like I say, join in with the Pro Clubs games. If you're a member of the site, then you're more than welcome to join in. Hit up Crossy if you've got any questions, because obviously he's the guy running it. What's it like? Well, it's obviously enjoyable, otherwise you wouldn't do it, Matt, but talk us through it. What do you do in the competition? Who plays where? Is there any particular player to look out for?
Well, Crossy's pretty consistent with the selection. Most people play in the same places. I play in midfield. Crossy plays left back every week. So if you're a left back, don't even bother. Crossy plays there. Flux DT often plays centre back. Choosy's usually right back. I'm trying to think now. Craig usually plays in the middle. That's Finn 84. Finn 88 usually plays up front because he's useless everywhere else. And the Sheppies are often on the wings. But, I mean, we do rotate it every now and then. Obviously, if people can't make it, we swap it around. We need a goalkeeper. So if you're a goalkeeper and you're better than Dazza, which is an odd, get in touch.
Oh. Okay, I think that's fair. I have got 100% penalty saving record, 2 penalties faced, 2 saved. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but you can't,
can't
guard your near post though, can you?
I was expecting a defender there, alright? I'm not being blamed for that. Someone left their post. I'm looking at you, DT. But yeah, Ethan, you were talking before it started, saying that you want to get involved.
Yeah, so I can obviously come from this position of somebody who's listening to this podcast thinking, oh, I'd quite like a go at the pro clubs. So I was going to ask Tuesday because mistakenly I thought I saw his name on it. Obviously it was Crossy, so it was just me not reading properly. But I was going to ask if I could sign up. I can't commit to every single week, but I'd hope to commit to as many as possible. And again, as Matt said, I guess I wouldn't expect to break into the first team either. But like if I could come along to the fun games, I know you did an England v Scotland before, which sounds quite fun. I'd like to get involved, even if it's just for fun, a bit like the community nights. So yeah, I was just I went on the forum, posted my name and a number I'd like to use, but in reality, I just hope I'm allowed to come along to the fun.
Well, if that's not going to get Crossy's tears jerking down his face, then I'm not quite sure what will.
He's a pretty tough manager.
Team.
Just so I mentioned the word jerking, sir. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything we've wrapped up that needs to do with the site today. But as happened last time on the last podcast, which we're now going to do, we're going to discuss something to do with real life football at the moment. Obviously, everyone in here has interest in football, otherwise they wouldn't be on a games website that caters to quite a lot of football games. Last time we were talking about the Premier League and we were talking about the title race, this and general nature of the Premier League and the money coming in. This time we're looking at the bottom of the table. We're looking at the relegation battle, relegation zone, who's likely to still be with us, who is likely to drop through the trap door. Not looking too good for Aston Villa at the moment. They're pretty much definitely down unless... they can't do it, can they?
No. Mathematically they can, but they'd have to win all 5 games by a combined of about 25 goals. So no, they're down.
Yeah, so Villa will be gracing the Championship for the first time I thought I read in 29 years, something like that.
Yeah, they're one of the only teams who've been in all 20-odd Premier League seasons.
But not in the next one.
Yeah.
So it looks like 2 from 3. Newcastle, Sunderland and Norwich. Norwich currently just about got their heads out of the zone. Although there are other sides that could potentially be caught. I want to know what you guys think. I'll start with you, Ethan. What do you think of it at the moment? Talk us through the teams. What do you think is going to happen?
So, yeah, I agree. I think Palace are now far enough clear that they're not really even in contention, and I think they also have the quality in their squad to leave them way above. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see it be the 3 teams that are there now. But then Sunderland have innate goal scorers in their team. And I think that might be enough to allow them to grace themselves with the 17th spot. Newcastle have obviously a game in hand over Norwich, but I was listening to the commentary on Newcastle's game today, and quite honestly, the word turnstile, a well-paid turnstile, was something they said about Stephen Taylor. And I think, from what I'm understanding, Newcastle's defence is basically non-existent, and some people are saying wouldn't even be fit for the Championship if they went down. So I think you can pretty much count on Villa and Newcastle being 2 people to brace the Championship next season. Perhaps, I think Sunderland have a better pedigree than Norwich to stay up, and I wouldn't want to bet against Sunderland because I feel like they, as I mentioned, have the goal scoring in them. But obviously there is a reason they are where they are now. As much as it's going to annoy you when I say this, I would rather see Norwich stay up, and I'd rather see the 3 that are in the bottom 3 now go down. I think it will be a good lesson. Villa need to go down. They need to get rid of the dead weight and basically start again, come up fresh. Newcastle fans will be very, very upset to have gone down, but when you get a crap chairman who sits on 30 million and then it's ended up spent on absolute rubbish, what can you do? And yeah, Sunderland, I don't like them particularly. You know, I don't really mind. So that's kind of what I think.
What about you, Matt?
I mean, Crystal Palace were in freefall, but I think their win today probably makes them safe. 10 points clear. I think that'll do. I think the goal difference is usually a good indicator, and the bottom four are all very far behind on that front. Yeah, so I think it's between those four. Newcastle, honestly, I think they're gone. I think there's just no saving them, and I don't think Rafa Benitez is the right man anyway. He's not really the man for a relegation scrap, I don't think.
No, I agree with you on that.
Whereas I think Sunderland have got the man for a relegation scrap. If anyone's going to get out of it, it'll be them. But yeah, the only team they can possibly catch is Norwich. I think they need to win at least one of their 2 games in hand. If they can do that, I think they'll do it.
I think you both make valid points, to be honest. I think looking at the bottom four, first thing I'm going to say, I mean, if you've got your head in the sand, if you're not aware, I'm an Ipswich fan, so obviously I'm not going to want Norwich to do well. However, of the bottom 4 clubs, bottom 5 if you want to include Palace, Aston Villa, Newcastle, Sunderland, Norwich, Palace, their fan bases are incredible. They're some of the best supported clubs in the country. They will always fill up their stadiums. In the circumstances of Villa and Newcastle, I said before in the past podcast, their fans do not deserve to go through what they're currently going through. They are massive clubs with massive stadiums, with massive fan bases that are owned by absolute tools. If you said that Villa need to go down to get rid of their dead weight, I don't think it's necessarily the fault of Villa themselves. I think it really does come down to the owners. I just think they're not being run properly as a football club. Matt, as you said as well, Rafa Benitez. Let's wind back a little bit, wind back the clock over the last sort of 3, 4, 5 years. Villa found themselves in a similar position, well, not as bad, but they were in a relegation battle last year. Tim Sherwood coming. Fantastic impact manager, kept them up. 3 or 4 years ago, Paolo Di Canio, remember when he came in as Sunderland manager? Impact manager, kept them up. The problem with these clubs is, those two, they gave long-term contracts. They're never going to succeed over a long time. Now, Rafa Benitez is almost the opposite of that. You said yourself, Matt, that you don't think he's a right manager for a relegation battle. I agree with you, he's not. He's a manager you want to get in for longevity. If they could survive this season, he's then the man you want to get in, but they're not going to play for him. Then he's not going to... If he goes in there and goes, fuck, that's not going to get the players bloody wound up and wanting them to get on the pitch and keep their club up. They don't care. And as much as it's important for players like Stephen Taylor to play, he's homegrown, he's part of the club. If he's not good enough, he shouldn't play. And it really is interesting to wonder where Mike Ashley's millions have been spent, because he has parted with cash with that club before, but they've bought a bunch of French crap. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm not even going to fucking tar myself with it. As far as the clubs are concerned, as far as the relegation battle is concerned, Newcastle, for me, as you both said, are down. They won't stay up. I think Sunderland, they've got Jermaine Defoe, who's a fantastic striker to have. They've got Sam Allardyce, who's got an incredible record. He's only ever been relegated once as a manager. And you think of the clubs that he's managed in his time. He's managed Sunderland, he's managed Bolton, he's managed Newcastle, he's managed Blackburn, all sides that you associate with struggling in the Premier. Yet the only time he's been relegated wasn't the Premier League, it was with Notts County right at the beginning of his career. My slight concern for Sunderland is they've drawn their past 4 games. Now, in those 4 games, they've played Newcastle, West Brom and Crystal Palace, all of which aren't exactly on fire at the moment, so maybe getting a win out of one of them might have been needed, and as they go back, when they get to the end of the season look back, it might have been a little bit too little too late. Norwich actually hosts Sunderland at home next week. Now, not to say... people throw out the cliche 6-pointer. I don't want to throw out the seasons... I don't want to throw out the cliche... Well, I'm making a cliche. I don't want to throw out the season who loses goes down. But it could be that big. It honestly could. If Norwich win that game, then it is looking very, very difficult for Sunderland, especially if they... we're recording this before they play Leicester. If they didn't do well against Leicester, that could be good night Vienna. If Sunderland obviously go to Norwich and get a win, then they're certainly in the driving seat. Sunderland have got some games in the last sort of 3 or 4 against sides that are going to be mid-table that might not be playing. I mean, like Everton, Chelsea and Stoke, they've got to play against their sides that could be playing kids, they could not be bothering. They've got Watford on the final game as well. Norwich, I know I've got to play sides. I know they've got to go to Norwich. Norwich have got to go to Norwich. I know Norwich have got to go to Arsenal. I know they've got to play Man U. These are sides that need the points to get their Champions League place, or to be in Europe next year, or whatever's going on. So I think next week's game, Norwich v Sunderland, is very, very important. Unfortunately, at the moment, I think Norwich will stay up, but I would fucking love it if they come down. As an Ipswich fan, no bias. As an Ipswich fan, I'm quite looking forward to trips to Villa Park, St James's Park next season. It'd be nice if it was Carrow Road, because Stadium Light's not really worth it. But yeah, that's my say on it. I think it's certainly going to be interesting. It's certainly going to be exciting to see what happens. But so if we're looking at it next season, the three that we're going down, I'm saying Villa, Newcastle, and Sunderland. Ethan, you're agreeing with that?
No, I'm going to say Norwich.
So Sunderland survive?
Yep.
Matt, who's surviving?
I think Sunderland will survive.
Of the remaining 17 Premier League sides, obviously 3 have got to come up from the Championship. And bearing in mind that if Sunderland do go down, all 3 Championship sides would have survived this season, Bournemouth, Watford and Norwich. Is there any side in the league at the moment that you think should be fearful for next year?
Good question. Matt, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Yeah, thanks.
Right, so that was a little bit out of the blue.
Maybe, well, I say West Brom, but then I just think Tony Pulis is a manager who gets things done, even if they're shit. No, I think the rest are. Actually, Crystal Palace, because I don't think Pardew is gonna. Well, if Pardew stays there, I think they're in trouble. He's a manager who's amazing for 6 months and then awful forever after. So they need to get rid of him.
Again, essentially, he's an impact manager, isn't he?
He is, and I think they had a great start, but I think his impact has worn off. I think they need to get rid of him. They've got really good attacking players. I think they're a good enough team, but I think they need to get rid of him. Otherwise, they're in trouble next season.
You're right. I mean, you look at their wide players, for example. They've got Sacco, who had such a good season last year with Wolves. They've got Zaha. They've got Balassi, but you can't fit them all into the same team. And the problem with wingers is, obviously, form is a massive part of their game. They'll either shit hot and you can't play against them, or they're just shit and they should be playing in the reserves. So always a tricky one. Ethan, you've had a little bit of time to think. Anyone you're a little bit fearful of?
Obviously, whichever team stays up, be it Norwich or Sunderland, they're going to have to push on massively next season. And you would have said the same, like, Leicester only managed to stay up, but if I remember rightly, they won the last 9 or 10 games they played.
Seven of the last 8, I believe.
7. So none of the teams in this league at the moment have anywhere near that form, so that no one of those, that whoever stays up isn't going to be doing in Leicester next season. So they really need to make sure that they get points on the board as early as possible, so they're not in this situation again. I would say whichever one stays up, definitely. I think Matt's a fair point with Palace. I think with the players they have, they should not be in 16th in this league. You could probably say that about most of the teams that you would expect to do well this season, but the way Palace started and the players they have, they should not be in 16th. So I think they need to push on a bit. And like Everton in 14th, I know they're not going to be at risk of going down, but I think they should be fearful that they're just underperforming massively, and any underperformance gets your morale down, gets your club down, gets your big players to leave, and then you could be in a situation where you are the next Villa, essentially. So, I think Everton need to kick on. I want to see Everton up like 6th, 7th next season. So hopefully they do better.
I think with Everton as well, firstly, they've had really poor home form, and people are talking about Martinez possibly going at the end of the season if they don't win the FA Cup. But you're right, I mean, Lukaku, I think he's currently the 2nd top goal scorer in the Premier League behind Kane. If you take away his goals this season, where would Everton be?
Well, Everton are the 5th highest scorers in the league, but they concede too many. I mean, I know, obviously, they're playing Stones, who's very young, but even so, they should be better. You look at their back four, the likes of Baines and Coleman and Jagielka, I think they shouldn't be conceding that many goals.
Yeah, and big Timmy Howard in goal as well. It's not exactly a bad
system that they concede.
It's not a bad, it's not a bad back five to learn your trade in, is it, for John Stones?
No, and he's good enough.
Oh yeah, I've no doubt he'll be a great defender in years to come, but there are no world-class defenders at 21. No, you're looking at 24, 25 at least. So,
yeah, of course, you've got to learn your trade. I Just quickly, my suggestion for a side that's going to struggle next year, which is one that I really don't want to see struggle, possibly my favourite team in the Premier for their style, for the way they've been brought up, for who they are, their philosophy, Swansea. I think they're in big trouble next year. I think, although they've won 4 of the last 6, I think goals are their big problem. They've only scored 34 all season. Gomes obviously started the season like, house on fire. They had Bonnie last season. They've got Sigurdsson. They have got goals in the team, but I fear for the future. I don't think they've got someone there right now who will score them the goals that those 2 aforementioned players have. Michu have in the past. So
they have
I think they've
Sigurdsson. Happy to keep him.
So I think that's going to be a big summer for them. They've got other star players as well. I think Jack Cork is really unnoticed, unsung. Fabianski as well. Fabianski at Arsenal, but for me, you take away the keepers for the big sides. You take away your Joe Arch, you take away your Hugo Lloris's, you take away your David De Gea's. Fabianski is one of the strongest keepers in the league now. And as stupid as that might have sounded 3 or 4 seasons ago, it's just not the truth now. He genuinely is a very, very good top-class keeper. So if they lost him and had to replace him with maybe a lesser-known keeper, I think they could be in trouble there. They've got good youth prospects as well, but a little bit worried about the direction their new manager's got them going in. I think they had a good setup under Gary Monk. But again, Gary Monk, I think, could find himself, or should have found himself, with better job offers. Obviously still out of work as well. I think he did a miracle keeping Swansea where they were with what he had to work with. But there you go. A bit of an interesting debate for you. If anyone else has a suggestion, then feel free to comment, whether this is on YouTube or SoundCloud or on the OGC website. So that's pretty much everything we've got wrapped up for today, I think. If there's any other business you two want to mention.
Did you want to talk about GTA?
Oh, I didn't even mention the community night, did I? There we go, thank you. I've got that written down, I completely ignored it. So, we had our second community night that happened last night. We went on to GTA, that's, if you could have guessed, Grand Theft Auto. Matt was there, I was there, Ethan unfortunately was not. That was a good night. It was very enjoyable. Like the FM draft, very, very enjoyable night. Matt, do you want to talk us through what happened?
Yeah, well, Flux set up a playlist of races for us to do. Mostly GTA races and races in the sky. But yeah, they were good fun. They're incredibly difficult, challenging courses.
Yes.
I mean, they were only a few miles, but it was taking us 20 minutes to complete. That's how difficult they were.
There was one particular notorious race that took, I think it was 36 minutes in total.
Yeah, you had to jump from ramp to ramp, and some of the distances and angles you had to get were incredibly difficult.
Frankly impossible in some occasions. You had to follow someone and nick their slipstream, and then possibly even nudge them off the edge yourself to be able to progress. So, yeah, certainly good laugh. Obviously, Mark Fimbo joined us during the evening, started winning every event once he did join, but obviously couldn't be in contention because he joined a little bit late. I came in third place, which I'm always happy with. I'm always happy to be up near the top in anything on OGC or in the community because it's rare. Unfortunately, I did bottle it. I was in first place going to the final one.
How many were totaled there?
How many people? Wow, that was worded well. How many people were taking part? Or how
Coming
many
from you, come on.
Yeah, I know. That's how bad it was.
Yes, how many people? Oh, you came third out of how many?
It was
8 or 9?
8. I think it was 8 and then I went to 9,
good.
I think. Yeah, so we had other people that were involved, obviously Mark's brother Craig, we had Flux, we had TJ, we had DT, me, Matt. Sharky. Might be missing someone. If I was missing anyone, well, you
How long did the whole thing take in the end?
About 3 hours.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 hours, I think.
About the same as the FM draft.
Pretty much the same as the FM draft, yeah. So, I'd quite like the FM draft to come back. There's been a little bit of talking about it in the shout box. I think people are getting a little bit itchy. They want to start it again. I think with the community nights as well, because the community nights are going to be like fortnightly or something like that. They tend to be. I think the FM draft, I think we should do monthly. I'm putting that out there in this podcast. If anyone makes it this far and they want to discuss about it.
I'd be up for that.
The first one, the article, is for March. So we're in April. Let's get one going in April. Let's get one done a month.
One a day.
End of the year. And you want a day? I'd do one a day, definitely.
I've got
Sod it. Yeah, let's just do it. But yeah, I came in third place. Second place went to
Me.
Matthew comes second, and you are agonisingly close to winning.
Yeah, Craig beat me by 2 points.
Unfortunately for Matt as well, in the final race, did you come second in the final race?
Yeah, I needed to win the final race, and I lost by about 1 second. To
Unfortunately for me, all I had to do was come above Craig in the final race, who came 5th, and even if I would have come 4th, I think you would still have had to have won, Matt, to overtake me, but I didn't even finish. So, bitterly disappointing. Because DT was on a phone call, joined the last race too slow, and then parked up on a ramp and destroyed my dream.
It was basically parked on the only route that you could take, so he just kept reversing and going forwards and knocking people off the ramp.
So
he got me a couple of times.
After a 25-minute wrestle with him.
How angry did you get?
I wasn't angry. I was more happy that I was in the position that I was in, rather than angry that I lost it. Okay. So it's so rare that I have to take enjoyment out of these moments. So that's up there. That's one to tell the kids. But yeah, very enjoyable. Obviously, I guess a new vote for the next community night will go up soon. Games that we haven't played yet that will probably be involved. There's Counter-Strike Go, or Counter-Strike GO, I don't know what it stands for. I've got it downloaded. Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Yep. And then we've got... thank you. Rocket League has been mentioned before. There's been like COD and shoot-up games. Anything else that anyone particularly wants to play?
Possibly Trials.
Project Cars, Trials, Fusion, yeah, so plenty of suggestions there. I do think we should try and branch off with the FM draft and have that as a separate thing, because that was very enjoyable. But we'll see how people feel about that. How would you both feel about that? You both took part? Excellent, buzzing for it, so
I'm up for it.
That's interesting, so that's all good. Right, now, I do think we've now properly wrapped it up. Yeah, so, any other business?
Well, apart from the lag in the conversation, my final words will be, I'm glad to be back.
My final words are, I'm not glad you're back.
Not very nice.
Matt is still in the call, but I don't know if he can hear us.
I know, right? He just typed lag.
Yeah. I'm a little bit concerned for Matt's welfare. Unfortunately, as well, his picture on Skype is just a happy face, so I kind of feel like he's not coping.
He's dead.